Welcome to A Dose of Feel Good. I'm your host, Whitney Bischoff, and today we are talking about reclaiming your spark. You can see full show notes at doseoffeelgood.my.canva.site. Now let's dive into today's episode. Hello, everyone, and welcome to 2026. And episode 35 of your Dose of Feel Good podcast. I figured we would start episode 35 with a little disclaimer, if you will. So we're starting 2026 with a little bit of a different feel. So unfortunately, I ended 2025 in the hospital, actually. So I know I've mentioned in a handful of previous episodes that I've had some medical things that I've been navigating through, and 2025 kind of kicked me in the face a little bit. And so I didn't want to stop recording though, and full transparency, I could use some feel good myself. So if it seems a little off, they have me on some meds that have been kind of kicking me a little bit. I wanted to reclaim my own spark as well. So I could use my own dose as well. So I'm talking to myself as much as giving some of this out into the universe as well. So our theme this week is reclaiming your spark, our spark, as we enter 2026. And I think this is incredibly important. Like I said, I think, I don't know if each year we kind of get to the end of the year and it feels like the world has just kind of taken a lot from us. And so we start a new year and we're kind of ready to do all of the things and kind of enter this new era, if we will. But I think I'm definitely someone that I kind of let the world around me be my fuel, right? And so I think that sometimes gets us in trouble. Too long has that spark come from, sometimes what we feel like we can offer others. And I know that's a little bit counterintuitive to sometimes what I've mentioned on the podcast, because oftentimes we do get that fuel from, the kindness that we offer the world or those positive pieces that we offer the world. And that is true, but I think sometimes we have to look internally of like, what are those feel-good things that we offer ourselves? And what is that internal spark that we can offer ourselves? And I know at least for me in this new year, it's really taking a step back and not only what are those feel-good things that ripple out into the universe, but really looking at what are those feel-good things first that I'm doing for me. And when I reclaim my spark and that internal fire, knowing that when I do that for myself first, that does ultimately ripple out into those people that I get to interact with. But when I do that for myself first, it has so much broader of an impact than when I put so much focus out into the world. And it is really that mindset shift that I know that I need. And so kind of offering that encouragement for myself and kind of holding each other accountable a little bit, because the beauty is that our spark is ours to claim. I want to encourage you to reclaim that spark for yourself, because I know that's what I'm encouraging myself to do. And I think really acknowledging that when we do that, our spark ignites quicker and if you will, sparklier, which I know is not a word, when we are the ones that own it. When we own what we offer the world, it can become so much brighter than we necessarily realize in those moments. So if you think of this a little bit differently, so if you think of an actual spark, or what it takes to maybe spark a fire, if you will. So if you think of when you're trying to spark something. So I'm thinking of almost like a match. That's kind of what I'm thinking of here. So some sparks that are maybe hard to ignite, it might be because, they've tried too many times, and so it's too difficult because it's been worn out. Or maybe someone doesn't necessarily know how to do it, and so they're trying too hard, so maybe it's the wrong person that's trying to do that. Or maybe it's just a match or spark that maybe wasn't built right, and so it's not going to ignite because it was defunct at the beginning. And so if you think of it in those terms, that if you take a step back and think of it in a different way, that the easy ones, quote unquote, are the ones that spark when we have all the right ingredients in place, but also those right environments. So we have to make sure that we have the right ingredients for ourselves in place, but also that we've built the systems around us. So at least for me, like, I have to know that I have built all of those pieces in place. So I have to make sure that I'm doing the things for me so that my spark can ignite. So for me, I know that, taking the time for myself, giving myself the grace and the space, and surrounding myself with the people that genuinely make me feel good about myself. And that's taken me a long time, that it's not necessarily the people where I really can help make a difference with. Instead, it's the people that I feel genuinely encouraged around. It's a very different mentality. But then I also know, it's making sure that I'm taking the time to reflect, or to, I'm a big music person, so listening to the really good music, or apparently now I'm an exercise person, and so making sure I'm taking the time to do all these things. So it's making sure that those ingredients are in place, but then those environments are as well. And that's what it takes to really reclaim my spark for me. And so the beauty of that is that we can reclaim our spark so that it is easy, so that it's bright, and that it's beautiful. We can put those ingredients and those environments in place. We have the power to do that. And so kind of the story that I want to use to illustrate this is that it should be easy. We shouldn't have to force it. And I think it's taken me a while, because I think I've mentioned this before. I'm definitely a people pleaser. And so I've really taken a step back, and I've learned that the people that I want in my spaces and that I want to pour energy into, whether that's friends, whether that's just even acquaintances. I used to think that I was definitely an extrovert because I do like being around people. My number one strength is woo. I love winning people over. Strangers are just friends that I have not met yet. And I do like meeting new people. I do get energy. I am that person in an airport that I will talk to whoever. So much so that when I'm traveling alone, my husband, friends, even students that I've worked with are like, when you are in large crowded places, you cannot just talk to everybody under the sun. And while I do think that's true, I've really started to learn more about myself, that I prefer and I get energy from people that I am comfortable with, that I can have real, authentic conversations. I am not a surface level person. I would prefer to sit with 2 or 3 people, even one person, and have conversations about I wouldn't say necessarily the meaning of life, but like I like talking in depth about things that actually matter. And I would prefer to do that than to sit in a room full of people. I don't like big crowded places. I don't like being in crowds of people where I can't have genuine conversations. Ironically, I was recently in a place where I knew a lot of people from a long time ago, so much so that people acted like they didn't know who I was. And I didn't like it. I couldn't really talk to people. And I found myself like feeling small. And I don't like feeling small. And I could feel my spark dwindling. And I told myself, like, I'm no longer going to put myself in those spaces where I feel small. And that's where really talking about reclaiming my spark is telling myself I will not put myself in those spaces any longer. When we're talking about reclaiming our spark, it's really telling ourselves, what does it take to be at our best? And for me, it's when I'm with people and in spaces where I'm feeling energized by their presence, or when I even just feel energized by the things that I'm doing and not forcing the other things, right? So I even think about like goals. I'm somebody that I tend to go overboard at the start of the year and try to do all of the things. And I no longer do that. I'm like, what makes me feel good? And it's not that, I'm not going to strive to reach those things. But this year I'm starting a vision board, and I love this podcast. And so I'm like, what are those goals I want to reach? Because these are the things that make me feel good. And still striving to reach those things and focus on those things and try to meet those benchmarks, but not try for the things that just don't work for me. And that's what it means to reclaim your spark, is to focus on those things that give you energy rather than deplete your energy, because the reality is there's only so much energy that we have. There is a limit to that. And so we don't have to be everything to everyone, but when we claim the energy that we do have for ourselves, when we reclaim that spark of energy, if you will, it multiplies in our spheres exponentially. And so while we only have that limited energy that we can give out into the world, it does multiply. And that's the beauty of it, is that we don't have to force anything into those spaces. The reality is that it automatically ripples out when we focus on reclaiming our spark of what we have to give to the world. But we don't have to make it all about what we offer the world. We can reclaim it for ourselves, and it automatically ripples out. And it's just so beautiful that just to know that you have a light that may have been snuffed out. I rethink often. My husband and I were talking about this, that unfortunately for myself, I feel like, I've been kicked in the face a lot. He often jokes that apparently I would have had too much power if life just would have been easy. But I've learned a lot, and I love that. But I think that knowing those things, that, our light might have been tried to be reclaimed, that we have the power to claim it for ourselves. And we can take this spark of energy that is just waiting for us to claim. And when we claim it, it can ignite the flame not only for ourselves, but also for everyone around us. Whether it's a flame, whether it's energy, whatever kind of speaks to you. I'm a big fire person. So for me, it's this spark that lights a fire, but it can be this spark for energy as well. So just think of whatever that analogy is for you, reclaiming that spark that kind of is internal. We're really thinking of that internal spark, reclaiming that for yourself, what energizes you, and really focusing on that for yourself. And in order to do that, I really I'm going to give you this large toolkit. So if you haven't heard, Dose of Feel Good podcast is on Patreon, which I know folks have heard of Patreon. It is free for folks, so I highly encourage you to check it out. If you've never heard of Patreon, there is a link on our website, so please check it out. But there is a large toolkit to be able to put this into practice. So our call to action this week is a handful of things, because I really want you to be able to put this into practice of what it means to reclaim your spark. So the biggest piece is to reflect, to really know that your past doesn't have to define you, but to understand what about your past is a reflection of you, to be able to know how can you use that to reclaim what it means to really make you who you are. It doesn't have to define you, but you can use it to really understand what energizes you. And then identify, what is this vision of the future version of you? And knowing, like, what identity do you claim for yourself? Knowing what that is and really creating, what are these action steps that make this version or identity of you a reality, and start to put those into practice. But it really starts with doing this deep reflection work to reclaim this healed version of you. And it's not a one-time thing. And so this toolkit, I really want you to take a look. It will be available, again, downloadable on Patreon. If you send me a direct message on Instagram, I can also email you a copy, or if you drop your email in the comments, either on Instagram, or I know I share this on my personal Instagram or Facebook, I'd be happy to share it with you. Or you can comment on Spotify. I'd be happy to share it with you that way as well. But this toolkit has a lot of really great ways to put in practical pieces about self-love, healing the too much narrative, talks about people pleasing, what it means to give self-trust and self-confidence. I am not a professional, but it does talk about a little bit of what it means to process trauma without having to relive it. What it means to redefine productivity, what it means about separating feeling the need to have interdependence, emotional honesty with yourself, and then integrating what your story means. And then that last piece, like I talked about, what that identity is for you, and putting that into practice. So there is a lot of practical pieces, but again, it's a lot of that reflection and doing it into bite-sized pieces. So I highly recommend check it out on Patreon or send me a direct message. The last piece, I am looking for some what I'm calling feel-good fam. So again, we have merchandise out in the world, but I'm looking for some folks to really help spread the dose of feel-good message to folks throughout 2026. So if you are interested in help getting folks connected to the podcast, please let me know. And you will be added to our email list to get the toolkit directly in your inbox each week. So reach out, let me know. Otherwise, I might be doing some direct messages to folks as well. So stay in touch. I hope you are enjoying the podcast, and check out that toolkit for sure. So have a great week, and stay tuned again for next week. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you are feeling ready to conquer the week and let your impact ripple out to the world around you. Let's connect on Instagram and Threads at Dose of Feel Good Podcast. If you're loving the podcast, I'd love it if you'd hit that subscribe button and leave a review. Until next time, share your own dose of feel good and never underestimate the power of positivity.